Hello and welcome. My name is Jamie Lynn King, and I'm an academic advisor here at the University of Arizona Global Campus. I am the host of this session, Leading with Purpose, How Shared Vision Transforms University Clubs. By joining us today, you acknowledge that this session is being recorded and will be shared with TLC-related materials. Microphones will be muted for this presentation, but we encourage you to post questions and comments in the chat. Also, we have enabled live transcription. If you would like to use it, click the Show Captions button at the bottom of your Zoom window. Now, I am pleased to introduce to you our panelists. Dakota Schmigg, Vice President of UAGC Human Services Club and doctoral student here at UAGC. Dr. Lisa Smith, core faculty here at UAGC. Dr. Kimberlee Bo, Jodie Halsne, board member of the Human Services and UAGC doctoral student here at UAGC. Alexis Morris, secretary of the Human Services Club and UAGC student. And finally, Dr. Dawn Jarvis, associate faculty here at UAGC and founder of the Human Services Club. Dawn is unable to join us today, but Alexis will be covering her slides. And I am going to pass it over to Dakota.
And quickly before Dakota speaks, we want to take a quick moment to say thank you to Dr. Jarvis, who is not here. As mentioned, she was the one who helped put us together and such a driving force. So we want to quickly say thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dakota.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Bo. So this morning, we're going to start off talking about Peter Senge's concept of shared vision. So he is the founder of the organizational learning discipline. He is popular for several things. One of the most notable things is his book called The Fifth Discipline, where he introduces 5 key disciplines: personal mastery, mental models, shared vision, team learning, and systems thinking. So systems thinking is the 5th. That's why that's the title of the book. And it ties everything else before that together. But specifically today, we're talking about shared vision. And so this concept ideally introduces or takes the traditional vision of a company and introduces this paradigm shift of how can we turn that into a learning organization rather than simply just, a systematic process with hierarchy, etc. How can we take a company to a learning organization? And so the definition of shared vision, according to Peter Senge, is a collective commitment to a common purpose that inspires genuine engagement rather than simply compliance. As I mentioned, shared vision is a paradigm shift. So you're taking integral contributors in a collective goal rather than just kind of some passive involvement. So we can go to the next slide. So when shared vision is applied to student organizations, it impacts it positively by fostering engagement, building ownership, encouraging collaboration, creating a learning culture. Specifically, as the vice president of the Human Services Club, what this looks like applied to our organization is that we as a club have collective goals, values, and purpose. And the ultimate goal is to connect, to learn, and to elevate the field of human services in general, collectively. So going back to that company to learning organization, we're taking club to a unified learning community. And so there are several positive impacts that I mentioned previously. Dr. Lisa Smith is going to go more into that next.
Thank you so much, Dakota, for that introduction and explanation. And I'm going to elaborate. I serve as a co-advisor here with the Human Services Club since its inception. And I'm going to talk a little bit about how we use that co-creating that Dakota alluded to in the previous slide. Most of what we do, especially with the Human Services Club, is that we create a sense of inclusivity. We expect and anticipate that our members, not just our members, but also our board, as well as our executive board, basically come up with ideas, and then we share that information with each other. So there's an engaging, not just of our alumni, as we have with our president, but we also have other students that engage in the same idealistic process so that we can bring great events and activities to UAGC's online environment. And this approach empowers not just the faculty advisors, Dr. Ballard, Dr. Kristen Ballard and I, as well as Dr. Jarvis, who is our founder, serve as co-advisors, but most of the ideas come from the students as well as the executive board. So the approach is to empower them, to give them agency to share their ideas, share their vision about the club in which they want to be a part of. And that enhances not just a sense of ownership, but it fosters supportive community and a sense of belonging. Because if you do not feel as if you belong, then as Dakota explained, you have this idea of compliance. And that's not a way in which you engage students who are in an online environment and do not have that face-to-face interaction. So creating an environment where students feel a sense of belonging is crucial. And it's a top-down approach, right? So if we have our board and our executive members who participate in that sense of belonging, and we gather our ideas from our members as well through different events and what they want to see promoted through human services, because we know human services is a huge industry that spans several different industries such as psychology, criminal justice, administration, leadership, the entire healthcare, mental health, the entire gamut of needs and special needs of the students that attend here, as well as our military students as well. So we create this environment by establishing clarity and flexibility in our programming to help reduce stress, but more importantly, enhance student well-being. And one of the ways we do that are the different types of activities. We just had an event for our book club. And for those of you who are interested in joining the book club, we are well into reading the book, and we have our first meeting in December. Yes, please, somebody help out. In December, we have our first meeting.
We do.
So, yes. So we are implementing strategies to provide clarity and flexibility for the needs of our students as well as our club members. We promote inclusive practices that ensures that all students feel valued and supported. We had self-care events that we did in the summer. Additionally, we have a blog, and we also have, like I said, different events throughout the year, such as suicide prevention and things of that nature. So we promote these inclusive practices that ensures that all students feel some type of support. We also provide opportunities for our students to take leadership. I would love to say that I provide strong leadership in the planning, but most of the planning comes from Dakota and Corbin and Dr. Bo and Jamie. I mean, we have such a great board that spends a lot of time and thought into puts a lot of time and thought into the activities that are going to be promoted with the Human Services Club. So each one has a different role. And even with these presentations, each one of us has a different contribution, so that it is not as if there's a hierarchy in which there is an absolute lead and we defer to them and they dole out roles and things like that. It is a shared responsibility and contribution from all members, so we can create a positive club sense of community and culture. That is most significant. We also focus on leadership development, I am happy to say that Dr. Bow was once the president of the club, and she is now associate faculty here at the club's inception. So as you see, we do foster not just learning, but hey, what about a job once you're done with your doctoral studies? So we do focus on leadership development. We do have workshops, and we do foster a relationship that aids that. Next slide. So co-creating inclusive and student-centered programming in an online club. First, we're going to utilize the digital platforms. As I said before, this is online learning, right? This is an online learning management platform that all of us visit each day. And so the digital tools and platforms can facilitate that communication. We have UConnect, in which we post all types of announcements. We have regular virtual meetings. We have planning meetings every 2 weeks. We have discussion forums and conversations that are ongoing throughout the week. And we look for collaborative projects with other clubs. We also have worked with CHAMPS in the past, the military clubs as well. And it helps maintain not just engagement for our human services members, but also for other club members. And it strengthens that sense of community, which is really difficult to create in an online environment. And so it gives us that sense of community, not just amongst our members, but also other members that also join us. We invite guests to come and speak, depending on the event. And we've had some really great speakers that are from other universities come to speak. And if you want to see a certain type of program, just contact us, and we'd be more than happy to engage and maybe have you come and guest speak at one of our upcoming events. Next slide, please. So we also provide mental health resources. We integrate mental health resources into our club programming. So when we talk about self-care, each and every one of us contributes a certain part of our expertise. I am a hypnotherapist, so I might give some ideas as the ways in which you might use hypnotherapy or meditation, guided meditation in your lifestyle. But also many of us have expertise in other areas. So when we are providing that mental health and stress management and mindfulness sessions, we did that in our Culture of Care Summit, in which we had different rooms in which you could go into and try a different form of mindfulness. And we also provided information that's available for mental health services. So this is one way that we do it here at UAGC's Human Services Clubs. Hopefully you can take some of these ideas and share them with your clubs. Thank you.
All right.
We have, I'm sorry, I didn't introduce. We will have Dr. Bow up next.
All right. So I get to talk about the impact of student-led initiatives, because as most of you who do know me know, that's totally my jam. Like it has been since I was a student here at UAGC, as Dr. Smith mentioned earlier. So the frame for for my part of the discussion, students must be considered active agents, not passive users. All right, I want to take a moment for that to sink in, right? Must be considered active agents, right? An active part of the learning. Hence, student inclusion, hence the student voice, hence shout out to student government, which now actually exists, right? That the students have a voice. It makes a difference, right? When we all feel, again, coming back to that sense of community and connection and belonging. So what has research, right? We have to have a little bit of research in here. We are an academic institution after all, right? So lots of innovative ideas have come out because of student-led initiatives, right? Because, right, it gives us a chance to step outside the box and say, oh, what could be done differently outside there? And it allows us that place, that tenemos, to go out and play. Right? It motivates students to participate, right? When, I don't know about you, right? When I felt like I had a voice, I was more engaged, like, oh yes, people care about me. I am seen. And in a university where we are all over the world connected by like via technology, right? It's nice to know that people see me, see other students, right? To know that you're there and we care, right? And that's that huge piece that we care. Provides a relaxed atmosphere for participation, right? I don't know about you again. When I'm a little bit more engaged and relaxed, it helps, right? If you think about the neuroscience, right? When the brain is flooded with cortisol, the body, right? All of that, right? We're not as connected to what we're doing. So when we have a more relaxed atmosphere, we can actually engage. We can lean in. Right? Empowerment. Again, this has been talked about by two presenters at this point, like empowerment, able to step into something versus step out, right? I want to be able to step in and know that, hey, I have the confidence. I am empowered to do this, to engage in this, right? I don't feel like I have to go ahead and ask like somebody above me, but I'm empowered to share my voice, right? Anyone's voice, right? From Dakota to Dr. Smith to Corbin to Sharissa, right? Anyone who's in this room, any student, any faculty, any staff, right? To show how much that we are engaged and care, right? And inspire research. Why not, right? It inspires research. If you think about the different types of research where students are empowered to research, right? Emancipatory research, right? All these different avenues where research can come out of it. And then again, also coming back to equity issues, right? We all come from different cultures. We are a microculture of one, right? All these different levels that we need to be considering and bringing awareness to so that we can create systemic change. So some of you have also heard me talk about these examples down below and some of these have been mentioned before, but I have a little different twist on the suicide prevention one. So this was when I was president of the Human Services Club. Got a bunch of clubs together to produce a week-long event, brought in different speakers from in the community as well. Some are recorded, some are live, and it ended up on the UAGC hub. So I turned to Matt Galloway and said, hey, help me out. How many people have actually visited this website since it was put up on the UAGC hub? And since it was put up on the UAGC hub in January of 2022, 722 visits, and people are still visiting. And that is a lasting resource that the students have given back to other students. They can go back and look and learn more about suicide prevention, factors, causes. There's also links for help and support. Dr. Smith mentioned the virtual calming room event where there's actually a virtual calming room itself being created for the students of UAGC, input from the UAGC students so that people can go and actually engage in a virtual calming room. Again, another lasting thing that has been left as a legacy. And then of course, the book club, right? Opportunities for connection and community. And I get the honor of passing the next part of this presentation on to Jodie.
Thank you, Dr. Bowe. So Dr. Bowe just talked about the importance of feeling seen, heard, engaged, connected, and empowered in our environments. And these are vital components of student voice. I like to start with a common understanding of terminology, and the definition of student voice that resonates most with me is opportunities to participate in and influence the educational decisions that shape students' lives and the lives of their peers. Next slide. Oh gosh, I forgot that thank you. All right, so keeping that in mind, let's talk about how do we center student voices in the student clubs. So one of the first things is genuinely involving students in the leadership. Dr. Smith talked about the importance of a sense of belonging, but historically marginalized students typically lack the opportunity to participate. They're not even invited to the table. So it's important for clubs to reach out with an invitation to all communities when you're doing any kind of work, starting a club, starting a new project, creating a book club, or any kind of outreach. Include and especially marginalized communities to make sure that they have the opportunity to participate. And then once you have them, encourage active involvement, not just the passive membership, but actively expressing their voice in the work that's being done in the club. Then create a shared definition and an expectation of what student voice is in your club. So the definition above is what resonated with me, but it's important that each group collectively explores what student voice is and what they want it to mean in their club so that it's meaningful and they're more likely to involve and include it in their routine work if they're part of creating it and understanding it together. Be mindful of the power dynamic. So students might feel uncomfortable or unable to voice a dissenting opinion if there are senior students or faculty in the room. And that can cause them to not engage, to not participate in the work. So it's important for senior students and staff to invite and encourage other ideas. It's easy sometimes in my other work to just assume, well, everybody knows that they can speak up, they're here, they have a voice, but they don't always feel that way. And so it's incumbent on the leadership to actually make the invitation. Does anybody have any other ideas? What else should we be considering as we talk about this topic? So then set clear roles and boundaries. Establish who the students represent. Are they representing themselves? Are they representing a subpopulation? Are they representing students in general? Give them positions of power and decision making. Dr. Smith and Dr. Bowe talked about that as well, that students can be the leaders. And then be clear about the extent of their authority. So sometimes if you just tell somebody that they have the power in the decision making, they're going to run off in a direction they think that they should go in. And that might not be what the club wants or what's allowable at the institution. So be really clear about what decisions they can make and where they need to seek advice. I think I have one more bullet on here. Honor the students' input and decisions. So that loops all the way back up to that genuinely involving the students. If we ask students for their thoughts and ideas, what do they want to do? What decisions do they want to make? And then we completely ignore them, we undermine their involvement, we undermine their empowerment, and they're less likely to participate in the future as well. So we need to genuinely consider their input and support their inclusion in the decisions. And then when they make decisions, when student decisions are implemented, it's important that everybody, including senior students and staff, support them wholeheartedly. So creating that collective student-led initiative, as Dr. Smith and Dr. Bowe both discussed, is one way to do that. And in that process, in our club, when we're throwing out ideas, all of it is on the table, all of it's included, and we all feel like we have been part of that decision and we are a leader in the project going forward, even though we're students. And thank you so much. I will pass it over to Alexis.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Alexis. So today I will be presenting actionable tools to implement shared vision practices. So the first one, so shared vision is one of the 5 disciplines that Peter Senge describes, and it's all about, creating a common purpose that inspires and aligns people, not just, compliance, but genuine commitment. So I'm going to share practical tools that help turn that concept into reality. So on this slide, we have vision building workshops and inclusive voice mechanisms. So these sessions allow members to share what truly matters to them. So for instance, with the club, host a short interactive session where members share what matters most to them. We would want to use prompts like, what do we want this club to stand for, or how do we want members to feel when they engage with us? We would capture themes on a shared document or visual whiteboard, use guiding questions, like I said about, us as a club asking what we want our club to stand for. This builds ownership and emotional connection. And another human services club example we conducted a brainstorming session where students identified priorities like mental health awareness and career preparation. This input shaped the shared vision and directly inspires events. So some of the others talked about some of our events that we've hosted as a club, and this is where that input during this would, shape what kind of events that we would put on. So let's see, inclusive voice mechanisms. Equity and representation are critical. We included voices from diverse cultures and academic backgrounds, making the vision stronger and more inclusive. So we like to rotate facilitators as well when we do these so that leadership isn't centered on one person. Also, another way is anonymous surveys or suggestion boxes. Intentional outreach to underrepresented groups to ensure equity. Embedded student voice through partnership, not token representation, is critical to equity. Matthews 2023. Human Services Club. Here's another Human Services Club example. We want to ensure inclusion. The club invites voices from diverse culture and academic backgrounds when planning events, making the program resonate with a broader audience. Next slide, please. So this is about Vision into programming. And with this, every new initiative should align with the shared vision. We'd want to use a checklist and ask, does it promote engagement? Does it support wellness, amplify diverse voices? Because that's, one of our goals. An example would be when creating events, our club confirmed alignment by focusing on networking and leadership development. Number 4, mentorship and leadership pathways. We want to offer students micro-leadership roles to foster ownership, pair new members with experienced leaders to strengthen connections. Another Human Services Club example. So for the virtual calming room project, students took on leadership roles in design, curation, and promotion. Faculty and alumni provided guidance, creating both a leadership opportunity for students and a mentorship bridge across generations of human service professionals. Next slide, please. So the next one is reflection and renewal practices. A shared vision isn't static, it needs to evolve. We want to regularly revisit the vision and adjust goals to meet changing needs. Our club expanded events to include networking and faculty, Q&A sessions after noticing demand for career-focused support. So at our university, when they notice that, students need career-focused support, this is when they'll have Q&A with different employers, different companies, and things like that. This matters because reflection fosters alignment and keeps the vision meaningful and energizing. So shared vision is the heart of a learning organization. It's not just about having a statement on paper. It's about creating a living process that grows with the organization and its members. By using tools like the vision building workshops, inclusive voice mechanisms, embedding vision into programming, mentorship pathways, and reflection practices, we can turn shared vision into action. Thank you for listening. Have a good day. Oh, and I will pass it on to Corbin. Sorry about that.
Thank you, Alexis. All right. On behalf of the Human Services Club, I want to thank everybody for participating with us as a special thing. And I want to give a special thank you to my panelists for giving their insight, sharing their passion. We truly appreciate your time and engagement as we expanded how collaboration, inclusion, and leadership help build a shared vision through the Human Services Club. Together, we are creating space for growth, connection, and impact. At this time, I would like to open up the floor for any Q&A.
So I would like to circle back to a question that we had in our chat. What strategies or types of communications do you feel have prompted most student engagement?
So I can sorry. So what best communication strategies for student engagement? So for me, what I've noticed that was personal communications, reaching out myself, right? So there was a actual person, so people actually know there's an actual person engaging with them, right? Not necessarily like I am not knocking mass emails. They work beautifully. We need to reach a lot of people in a short period of time. And there's something about a personal touch. When I would go ask other clubs to join with us, it was an email from me. If I happen to have the person's phone number, or text, call, whatever it might be, but that actual personal engagement.
And from a student's perspective, I would agree that that really makes a difference. You know, having a specific person reach out to you rather than just reading a mass email, there is definitely a difference in what's the word? Like my motivation to respond or pay attention.
Another way in which one of the strategies that we use to get a further outreach besides just emails is that we go through check to get our stuff posted on the Canvas board so that students who are entering their classes see that this event is happening. It usually takes 3 weeks for the clubs that are trying to get approval. It's a huge process. And it has to, they follow very strict guidelines, but it's posted in different areas in the social media realm that gets people excited and not just brings students, but also brings faculty to our events as well. So that's another way we've tried really hard and to make that shift so that is posted in the Canvas learning management system. So when you open it, you see that this event is happening and you can decide over time if you wish to attend and what capacity you want to attend in.
We have another question in the chat from Bree Henderson. She's wondering how you adjust the club vision and priorities over time based on the student population desires and needs.
Well, I'm going to start this off. One of the things that makes it easy to make this adjustment is that our board keeps changing. Our students graduate or they leave, and then we get a new blood, right? This group here is new, really new. They've been here for this year, and we get so many great ideas because of the engagement we have with the planning. So we have planning meetings. We also have a group chat that all of us are on. That is not uncommon to hear from them on a weekend or a late night. But the ideas are constantly flowing between us. And as I said before, we always have new students that are interested in being part of our vision as the Human Services Club. We also collaborate with NOS, the National Organization of Human Services, and we go to their conferences. We give out a lot of swag. We have contests. And we have a budget, of course, to create that engagement. For our members, we also have cords, graduation cords that students will wear. And so it's really important that we stay engaged by having students that also serve on our executive board. So hopefully that answers your question.
I would also add to, like when we do events, take the book club, we start with like a vision and planning too. So we open up, kind of set the intention so that way people have the chance to say, okay, I would like to include this or this, like within an event. And the door is also always open for direct feedback to the club as well.
The club is also relatively new, so it's one of those things where it's easier to kind of take into account, oh, we need to set up this process to where there's constant reflection and revision and adjustments being made, rather than kind of joining a club that's been founded for the past 20 years and is kind of stuck in its ways. You know, it's relatively new, it's easy to build in right now. Like Dr. Smith mentioned, we do have like a lot of I don't want to say turnover because that sounds bad, but we have a lot of just movement in
Graduates, we have a lot of graduates, Dr. Bo and
yeah,
Corbin.
lots of movement in the club, which, you know, naturally helps things continue to change. So, but I think the fact that it's a relatively new club helps as well.
And
So
as
I'm-
one of the newer members of the leadership board, going back to some of the stuff that I already talked about, that welcoming and the empowerment from the doctors that are already that are advising our team, and the senior leadership of the club has made it easy for me to share ideas and feel heard, which is a way that we can update our vision as we go along. It just kind of morphs as more people get involved.
Another question is, what does a successful club look like?
I'll start it off. I would say that is collaboration. Like each one of the board members, everybody part of our club is included. Like we hear everybody out. We come to an agreement and we kind of see that vision through. So it's like all been involved. Like it's not one person, it's not just me. It's not just the vice president or the founder. Everybody has an input in this club. So, and we just make that work.
I do see that we have an audience member with their hand raised. Linda Moreno.
Yeah, hi. I'm just interested in the slide where you discussed providing students leadership roles and decision-making roles within the clubs. Over time, have you seen students and their involvement reshape the way you structure your club? And do these students tend to stay on after graduation, or is that even a thing?
The two members that have stayed on after graduation are Corbin and Dr. Bo. Once she received her doctorate, she began teaching here and is also still a proud member that we love here. But yes, we do try to create a sense of community. But I think it's best for you to talk to the alumni that we have here who can best give guidance. But like I said, I would love to say these are my ideas. These are not my ideas as a co-advisor. Most of these ideas come from the members of the board. And some of the events are their brainchild. I just am asked, I'm usually given a role, to be perfectly honest.
And
we do.
I was gonna say real quickly, tack on to Dr. Smith real quickly. When I transitioned from president to Abby, like this was before I even graduated, I made a request. Like, is there some way I could stay connected, like as an advisor or something? And that request was granted, right? So there's this piece about being asking and because and having someone hear that, right? And take that into consideration. That's all.
We have one more question in the chat. It is from Dr. Shipley asking how you are getting board members involved.
Okay, so I can speak to that. Most of the time we recruit from our classes. And then we also, as I said before, we ask other faculty to recruit and to give us ideas of really rock star students that they might think might be interested in serving a role. If I'm answering your question and I'm perceiving it correctly, that's one way we get board members. And then once they're here, the idea, as Dr. Ballard and Dr. Jarvis established, was that it will always be collaborative and it will be more student and board driven. than co-advisors. As I said before, I am usually assigned a role. I might provide some input, but most of the ideas come from the members as well as the board.
So there was also kind of a clarification too, so I'll tack on a little bit. I would say I've been in clubs where there's active engagement from the board and there's not as much active engagement from the board. So I was seeing sort of the spectrum. And when, at least from the Human Services Club perspective, I've watched every one of the students who's taken pretty much every one of the students who's taken these roles actually be here because they want to be here, because they care, right? They devote time, like as was alluded to, texts on the weekends and at night, right? Like there's a sense of like, because there's people care and they're connected, right? It's that leaning in, right? People keep leaning in. The rest of my fellow panelists, feel free to disagree with me. I see a lot of leading in from people.
Speaking of taking initiative, I was like, guys, we need a group chat. And then it was born. So
So we're getting closer to time. I have a final question for you all. I'm curious to learn, how are you leveraging the UAGC Connect platform for your club communication?
One thing that we started doing about 3 months ago is putting together a shared calendar with some prompts on a theme for the month. And then we rotate through which one of us are going to speak on that prompt. And sometimes it's a short couple of sentences for the day and encouraging people to engage with their response to it. Sometimes it's a bit of a reflection and then prompt for engagement in the conversation. Yes, the social media calendar. Thank you, Dakota.
Yeah, that's great. So will you be searching for new members soon, or do you do a membership drive yearly? How does that work?
Members of the board or members of the club?
Members for the club. Like, do you do a membership drive, or how do you get participation?
So membership is always open. Anybody is more than welcome to come join our club. In fact, if you're not a member of the club and you're in this presentation, please consider to come join us. We would welcome you with open arms. There's also, as mentioned, we use the platform Canvas. It's posted in I think majority of the human services classes. There's please come join us. So there's a constant reminder. So each class that a student goes into can remind it. Teachers, professors have also been instrumental in also saying, hey, we're here, right? And I would say also word of mouth, right? I would say, I don't know, show of hands, panelists, how many of you talk about the Human Services Club? Like, I do, right? Like, so word of mouth, right? Talking to other students, right? So there's multiple ways that people get connected with the Human Services Club.
Thank you. So everybody should head over to UAGC Connect and join the Human Services Club. So we have reached the end of our presentation. I would like to say thank you to our Human Services Club President, Corbin Lamar Randall, UAGC Human Services Board Member Jodie Halsne, UAGC Human Services Club Vice President Dakota Schmigg, UAGC Human Services Club Secretary Alexis Morris, UAGC core faculty, Dr. Lisa Smith, and UAGC adjunct faculty, Dr. Kimberlee Bowe. I would also like to give a special thank you to Dr. Dawn Jarvis, associate faculty here at UAGC, who is not able to be here today. I would like to thank the audience for participation in today's session. Please use the survey linked in the chat to nominate a TLC presentation for conference awards and share your feedback on this presentation. I don't have a survey link. So there will be a survey if you would like to nominate your favorite chat, and I hope that you all have a fantastic day.